Hello everybody, welcome back to Back Out of the Case. This is Skyflight44, aka Sect44, and today I'm going to be playing some more Pokemon XD, Gale of Darkness. Guess what? I'm in Mount Battle. That means today, in this video, we're going to be doing Mount Battle. First two sets, just to get it out of the way. It's not going to be all that difficult. Skip this video on to the next one if you really don't want to see this. But, I am going to be doing a little status update with what we have in the purification chamber. Let's see. I have two perfect actual sets here. One that really could use just one more Pokemon. I have no idea what to go and put into this one to make it work. Just so far. I wonder. Put you there. If I can actually get a bug Pokemon, which this one just needs to be, no, that one needs to be bug. Flying. If I can just get a grass type Pokemon, then I could go and put one right here and then put the bug right here. But I don't know. That one's going to come at a different time. But I have these three Pokemon going into it. And other than that, I did miss that Vulpix. However, I have a Makuhita, Delcatty, Voltorb, Duskull, and Mawile still in here. So, later parts in the game, we're going to be coming across a shitload more Shadow Pokemon. But by that point, we should have the Purification Chamber pretty much, ready to just crank out Shadow Pokemon after Shadow Pokemon purified. But with that done, we're actually going to be going and seeing if we can do Mount Battle. And yes, I would like to do a new challenge. However, these aren't going to be all that difficult, which is the sad part. I was thinking, am I going to be using any of the other Pokemon I put into, am I actually going to be using any of the Pokemon I had in the, Purification Chamber in the actual game itself? Like, the Sandshrew was actually something I wouldn't mind using, but I really couldn't think of another Pokemon I could use. Because otherwise, I most likely would have actually did these two challenges with, Pokemon that aren't the strongest than what I have right now. Because, look at this. 20 versus Pokemon level 9. The thing about it is, if you actually go into Mount Battle, actually, even before that, if you actually, when you get near the end of the game, every single Pokemon you're going to be going and fighting, from all the trainers, are going to be at least around 50. At least around 50. Because they scale with you the farther you go into the game. However, the only ones that don't scale are the Colosseums that you go through. Like the Pyrite Colosseum always will be at level 20. Which is something else I'm going to have to show off. And, well, the Relgum Tower, I don't even remember what it was called. That one is at 40, and the last one that you go through is either 60 or the highest Pokemon, of the highest level your Pokemon are at. So, let's just say, it covers the rest of the entire, level spectrum. But, Mount Battle is where you're actually going to have, Pokemon that you can actually go and fight at a low level. Which is very useful, because if you actually want to go and use something like that, let's say, that Numel that you actually have but you never used, or that Carvana, well, guess what? You can actually go and defeat them now. Well, you can actually use them to defeat opponents and get them to level up. All thanks to Mount Battle. However, there is a slight there is something that is pretty bad about Mount Battle, and it's the fact that after these 2 stages, it's going to jump up from like level 15, level 14, level 15 being the max, to level 27 being the max at the very beginning. And that's going to go up to like 33, you know, before it actually jumps up to like 45, around like 43, 45. Because of that, you know, there's a middle ground where you're kind of fucked when it comes to just how much, damn it, what was it called? When you're too powerful and you need too much experience for the earlier sets of Mount Battle, but the next one's a bit too hard for you. I wonder, can you actually get experience share in this game? I think you can. I don't really remember when you get it. Okay, now we're actually going to some new battles, actually. 4 through 20 are going to be all new, because we only had to do the first 3. What do you have? Hoot hoot. A single hoot hoot. Are you like one of the only trainers that tries to go into double battle with one Pokemon? At least with the first couple of trainers that we actually went and tried facing. Ooh, reflect, nice. At least they, you know, they were early enough that we had one Pokemon. But this is kind of stupid, actually. Oh well. By the time we actually get finished with all this, Ralts will definitely be, being, you know, should be able to be purified. Yeah, Area 1 is too easy for some of you skilled level youngster. I forgot how good this soundtrack was. Even this piece is awesome. The Mount Battle piece is wonderful. And a Shroomish, one Pokemon. I mean, damn game. Give me something better than this. But it's really hasn't been all that much time spent, and we've already pretty much beaten, you know, 1/4 of the actual Mount Battle section we're going to be doing today. If it is if the video is a little bit of a short video, I am going to be going and adding in the Pyrite Coliseum. Though I probably will set that out as a separate video that I will do, actually, probably after this. Just because when you actually go and do it, there's like 3 or 4 different rounds that you can actually go and do. Well, maybe not. There's 3 or 4 different variations of what you're going to face in the actual Coliseum itself. And I'm going to want to show those off. Not to mention, I'm also going to want to go and see if I can get the TMs in there. Just to see if any of them are actually worth it. Okay, Ralts, do your stuff. At least we only have to go and train you up 10 levels before you're super awesome. That was the 6th one, right? Yeah. The thing about it is, one of the things I did not like about Coliseum in this game is, yeah, sure, you actually, you know, going through and doing Mount Battle 1 through 100 is, well, you know, it's nice and all, but holy shit! To actually be, especially in XD, to be able to actually beat the top guy, you know, later on at least, you have to do the entire Mount Battle section to beat level, the 100th stage, you cannot actually be weak as level 10 at the very beginning. There's no way you could actually do that. You have to be at least level 40, at least level 40s to be able to actually go and beat the one Coliseum. And this one I would probably say around at least 45, 50 to go through all 100 battles and be around the point where you can actually defeat the final fights. Because unlike the Elite Four, the later sons of bitches in this one use legendary Pokemon. And they have full sets of Pokemon. Like, you're not going to be fighting these guys with one. You're going to be fighting guys with 4 Pokemon, 5 Pokemon, 6 Pokemon. And having played this game so much as a child, can you understand my frustration when it comes to Pokemon, Pokemon Black, Pokemon White, Pokemon Black 2, White 2, X and Y, same thing. Though I don't find it as annoying as the 5th generation. I'm guessing that, Alpha Sapphire and Omega Ruby follow Ruby and Sapphire's actual how many Pokemon they had. But having so little actual, Pokemon in the trainers, even if they're high level, which was actually a problem with the earlier generations, the levels were too low. They had more Pokemon, but the levels were too low. There's no difficulty to the trainers. That's a problem. Granted, it's never going to be as bad as Pokemon Silver, Pokemon Gold. But the difficulty when it comes to trainers is so abysmal. It's just why sometimes. I just can't understand why they don't just add a few more Pokemon. Like, even 3, 2 to 4 is a good actual number, a good number range anyway. Shit. But, oh well, I can use Call now. But, I just think trainers definitely need more Pokemon in these games. And it's not just, later parts of the game, like post-game, Black 2, White 2, everybody had at least like 3 Pokemon. But for the first, part of the game, for the first half of the game, even before post-game, everybody has 1 or 2. Gym leaders had, quite a few, just a little bit of actual Pokemon. And I don't know, you have to understand, somebody has to understand my frustration. Yeah, sure, if we actually went and fought, somebody like, if we actually went and fought Misty or Faulkner, they only had like 2 Pokemon with them. But, later on, they could actually have quite a few Pokemon. It was around like 3 Pokemon, but you could come across, oh, cool, evolution. But you could come across somebody like Koga, who had 4 Pokemon in yellow, in which they were all tough. So the gym leader was actually tough. Well, if you didn't have a fire type Pokemon or fly type Pokemon, that could actually be tough. But going in, actually I believe Blaine also had 4 Pokemon. Giovanni had at least 4 or 5 Pokemon. If I remember correctly, I believe Claire also had 4 Pokemon. 3 Dragonairs and a Kingdra? Or 2 Dragonairs and a Kingdra. But at least, it's just the ease at which you can play these games annoys the hell out of me. I wonder, is Confusion actually going to take out that Chikorita? I do have a Twisted Spoon on the Ralts. And I am, you know, several levels above it. But I highly doubt it's actually going to take it out. I highly doubt this would actually take it out. Okay. Actually, one thing I think actually changed in between Coliseum and XD is I have this feeling that some of the actual some of the animations actually changed for the moves, at least. I believe one of the ones I can think of that probably changed was Psybeam. I don't remember Psybeam being all that pretty in Coliseum, in which it's actually, you know, pretty decent in this one. Again. Okay. That's gonna be annoying. And let's see, your 10th, next one's the 10th, you're the 9th. After you beat the, just the area leader, you actually go and get a number of coupons for it. And he actually uses the boss music, which is nice. I like the boss music in this game. But again, what track in this game don't I gush over? Let's see. We could have done this, you know, far earlier in the game. But I was having a hard time figuring out when we should have done these two areas. I was never at a point in the video where I could have just ended it at a, you know, just ended it so I could have had a separate part for this kind of shit. I was always in the middle of something. Oh, crap. Well, that's not gonna matter all that much. Aw, isn't it adorable? I absolutely love the Pokemon. I'm gonna have to use Signal Beam. But, yeah, Rollis is just adorable. The only Pokemon that I can think of that's more adorable than Rollis to me is Eevee and Espurr. Espurr is basically made out of adorable. Holy crap. Those huge ass eyes just staring into your soul. All the tufts of fur. The small little... what was it, buddy? It's just... it's so adorable. It's actually probably my favorite Pokemon to come out of 6th generation. And I have a lot of Pokemon I like out of 6th generation. That's actually kind of, you know, it is very difficult for me to figure out what you know, what's one of my favorite Pokemon in the game. Well, in the 6th generation anyway. There's just so many. Okay. I'm actually going to get rid of the... I'm going to get rid of that reverse mode. Yes, game, I know that actually goes and, you know, vibrates. But that should have done quite a bit, because the reverse bulb was also in there as well. But, oh well. We should continue on. I don't know if you actually get more rewards if you do this continuously. I know that going through all 100 without really, you know, without changing any of your Pokemon, without going out of it, will, you know, give you the Johto starter Pokemon. But other than that, I really don't know if doing any of this shit will actually, well, again, do anything. Ariados kind of needs another attack, though. Something other than Signal Beam. I'm keeping Nightshade because I really, really like Nightshade, but I have to get rid of Dig. I don't like those, except for Fly. Fly has always taken a little, it's a move that I do use a lot because I like having a Pokemon that knows Fly. And especially in the later generations where it actually got bumped up in power to like 90 now. I believe it was like 70 or 75 earlier. It definitely wasn't 90. I use it, at least. I use it. I wonder what Dive is like, because that's probably another one that needed a boost in power. But let's see. Yeah, we'll get rid of you and we'll go and attack the Wooper. Wooper has some decent special defense, but it's not all that great. The Natu wouldn't have been something I could have attacked with my Rocks, but by this point I should be, when I actually go and purify the Rocks, I should immediately... Wow. Maybe Wooper doesn't have as good special defense as Quagsire does. But I should be getting a Curlier out of this, in which I really wanted to get one before I went into Fnac City. Because when we actually fight there, there's going to be a far stronger actual Pokemon there than earlier. Oh, not too far strong, but strong enough that it's not the level strength that goes up as much as the evolution generally start turning into, you know, just stronger Pokemon. But actually, now that I think about it, this dude could have been a real problem if we actually faced him at a higher level. But with just a why not and a Shuckle at this weak level, it's not gonna matter. Yes, even if we can't do much to Shuckle, hey, we have Nightshade, and Nightshade does all the work for us, doesn't it? Shuckle has, I think, the best defense and special defense in the entire Pokemon game. There's no Pokemon I can think of that has anything matching it other than maybe Deoxys defensive mode. And that's about it. Not to mention, Shuckle is a complete, you know, bitch to beat. I remember, I didn't do the Battle Frontier all that much in Pokemon games, except for some digs at, except for a couple of times on Emeralds. It was mainly the Battle Factory. I just didn't like training Pokemon for this, or training Pokemon specifically for the Battle Frontier. However, there's actually quite a lot you can do at the Battle Frontier actually. But the Battle Pike, I remember, was the only time I ever got to, you know, like several. I actually did the challenge enough that I could actually face off against the Frontier Brain, and I remember that in the worst time I ever had to face a Shuckle, it was what was her name? It might have been Lucy. I don't really remember, but she basically had a Seviper because that was her, you know, signature Pokemon, I believe. Took that out with ease. Then it was between the Melodic and the actual Shuckle, in which the Pokemon I had that could take care of anything could not beat the Shuckle, and anything else that could have a chance against it was completely destroyed by the Melodic, which was annoying, really, really annoying. Not to mention that freaking Shuckle, I believe it had like Rest and Toxic. But you're just trying to beat me out that way, you sons of bitches. I hate I hate Shuckle now. I really do. After that point, I just hated it. But having Toxic yourself, or just having something like Seismic Toss or something like that, should take it out with relative ease. Let's see. You and... Might as well do Shadow Wave, actually. But, I don't know. If I ever do go back to Emerald and do a playthrough of Emerald, I most likely won't, but I might try and record some of the Battle Frontier. I mean, I find it possible. I just don't find it too much fun. I found just putting Pokemon to XD far better, you know, alternative than the Battle Frontier when it comes to, you know, just interesting areas and interesting challenges to go put them through. The Ore Coliseum and Mount Battle are the better things to do. Number one, because you get experience and you actually get good rewards. Not just bragging rewards, you actually get rewards for it. Though, you know, in Battle Frontier, you did get points that you could spend on TMs and items, but in this, what do you get from, you know, doing all of this? You get a starter Pokemon, a rare starter Pokemon. What do you get for doing it on Coliseum? You get a fucking Ho-Oh. You actually get, you know, some good rewards out of this. That's one of the reasons why I never cared about the Battle Frontier. Okay, now what about you, Mareep and Torchic? Yeah, this is going to be a lot difficult to do. A Torchic, though, I wish was a Combustion, just so I can do some more damage on with my rocks. Because other than that, this isn't going to be all that difficult to begin with, but oh well. Aria's actually getting in levels from this. It's 23 now. Oh, I feel bad for Mareep. Again, Mareep's, you know, one of those amazing Pokemon from the second generation. Which, I know that when a lot of people say the best generation is, you know, something like Gen 2, mainly because of nostalgia and other things, and when it comes to Pokemon, other than like the first generation, because I know that's going to come up immediately for everybody, well, not everybody, but most people. After the first generation, what's your favorite generation of Pokemon? Not the games. Not what was introduced in the games, but the Pokemon introduced in that generation. Because that's... the more I think about it, the harder that becomes. Because Gen 2 Pokemon, I've always felt, were pretty much like Gen 1's Pokemon. Except it felt more exotic. Like, I don't know, just mainly because they're the first ones we actually got. The ones that, you know, we've been with the longest, but actually going and looking at Pokemon and just comparing everything with Pokemon in the first generation. Gen 1 Pokemon generally tend to feel normalish. Not to mention, they also, a lot of them, you know, rely heavily on solid colors. Now I think about it, something like Golem is very much a, you know, that one looks like it's detailed. But something like Charmander, Oddish, or even Slowpoke, and many of them, a lot of them just feel as if they're a shape with solid coloring. And granted, this actually carries on in between a lot of the actual generations. But I don't know. I just think that Gen 2 feels a bit more exotic just because the actual, it's just the Pokemon in that generation have a bit more detail like them. Like Xatu. Xatu is highly colorful and detailed. Umbreon has, it looks interesting. Houndoom, Houndour, they have, some detail on them. Fortress, what was it? Suicune, Entei, and Raikou are interesting looking Pokemon. They have a lot of detail put into them. Ladybug is another one. Spinarak is another one. But Gen 1, I mean, just something like an actual Metapod doesn't really catch my interest. I don't know, I could be completely wrong with this, but that's just my gut feeling with it. Gen 3, a lot of the actual I love a lot of Pokemon in Gen 3. And Gen 3 for a while until Gen 6 felt it felt the closest to the first two generations. It felt, and this once again could be just because of the the time period where I actually got it. I was still technically a child, and just because at this point we've had them for over it's going to be 12 years now. It's just they really just feel like they belong more than, let's say, the 4th generation or the 5th generation. The 4th generation, still probably the generation when it comes to Pokemon designs that bugs the hell out of me. The 4th generation, I've always felt, even with some of my favorites like Shinx, they feel off, very off, when it comes to other generations. And I don't know why. Maybe it's the coloring, maybe it's the detail they put into it. I really have no idea. I'm gonna have to go and think about that. The 5th generation, on the other hand, the 5th generation felt kind of on the line of there's either really good looking Pokemon, designs that are utterly ridiculous, or XPs. That's about it. When it came to the Pokemon themselves, the 5th generation had a shitload of them. Actually, more than any other generation. However, I was never sold with a lot of the actual designs, and I had to get used to a lot of them. Actually, I really can't. The only, the best design I can think of out of the 5th generation is Lilligant, and it's pretty much one of my favorite Pokemon to come out of that generation. But compared to, all of the other, like Gen 4, some of Gen 3, and, Gen 5. Generation 6 actually has Pokemon that are quite detailed, that actually look really, really interesting, that actually make me... I don't know, but some of those Pokemon I could actually think could have been in the 2nd generation, or maybe going to the 1st generation would have been a bit too... It would have been a bit too harsh. It was probably exaggeration if I said that. But the first 2 generations, even the first 3 generations, I could see the 6th generation Pokemon being able to be put in there. But other than I don't want to say fuck Gen 4 and 5, but something was wrong with some of the Gen 4 and 5 Pokemon. And granted, that's also because Gen 4 and 5 weren't necessarily generations I had an incredible amount of experience with. Mainly just because, well, less with, Gen 4. I had a lot more experience with Gen 4 than 5, but I never really got into any of the Pokemon in those. I've tried. I got more into the moves that they introduced in those 2 generations, and the mechanics that they changed from previous Pokemon games than any of the Pokemon they introduced. I don't know, it's just, if there's a 7th generation, in which, because Pokemon's such a hit, and, it prints money, I highly doubt they're actually going to go and, stop it with 6th generation. Even 7th, it's going to go to at least 9th. But I hope that the 7th generation of Pokemon... Ooh. I have some purifying to do when I get back. But, just... Ooh, what's this? Okay, it's water pulse. Nice. What can learn it? Just feel. Okay, I might actually give that to feel. Though it might actually learn it by itself, but let's go back. Just to cap off what I was talking about. If there's a 7th generation comes, I hope they go with what they did in Gen 6. And that they don't try and make a shitload of new Pokemon, in which they make, good amount of new Pokemon, maybe around, Gen 6 length. But then put as much effort you can into the actual designs themselves. And that will be perfect for me. But, this has gone on for a little while. See ya, everybody. Until next time.